Hi, this is Kat Chancellor with Stamp Art Connection and StampArtConnection.com. I'm glad everybody's here. I hope you've had a very, very good week. I wanted to kind of show you the cards that I did last week. As you recalled, we did that really neat, and I'll do this above the camera, but we had those really neat, the wreath building, and I did a video, so that's on my YouTube channel in case you missed it. So I want to show you how I put the cards together. This week, we're going to talk about pleats. Pleats are going to be the operative word for our projects. We're going to do two projects. I'm going to show you how to do two projects. One is called a pleated front card, and here's that card. And then I'm going to show you just a double pleated card, and there's that one. We're going to see how we do that. So those are two cards we're going to do. So let me go ahead and get started. These were the wreath building that we did last week on for our project. And what I wanted to show you is that I made the cards, and this was my favorite. I went ahead and I fussy cut around the edge of the wreath, if you'll remember, and I put a bow. Now in the catalog, I'm going to turn off this light. There we go. In the holiday catalog, there is a paper bow. And for those of you on Stamping Fusion, you may have noticed that I think one of our members, Catherine, has made a number of cards with that paper bow. I think that would be just perfect for this project instead of a ribbon to put a paper bow. I added some, you can see we have the gold, and then I added some gilded gems. Now this was the first one I did, and this was kind of like the holiday or the Thanksgiving one. I wanted to see if I could just make a plain card out of this, and what I did is I just kind of cut it, and I kind of used a sponge dauber around the edges, and just made a very simple card. Now what I was trying to do here is, if you can see, I tried to put some gold edging with a brush. It wasn't really perfect, but I did put a little bit of gold accents, and you can see I kind of used some gold stipples. So you might be able to see how pretty that comes out. This was the fall one that I did here. Now this one I popped up on Cajun Craze, and this is Bumblebee. Those were our colors that we picked along with the Early Espresso. This Early Espresso is the faux leather ribbon. And let me just pull in so you can kind of see how this one was put together. Now these are the gold leaves that I used on our, I think it's I think it was that greenery, the greenery piece, or the gold, oh, I can't think of the name of it, but I'll put it in my comments, but you can kind of see how I added those there, and that looks really pretty. You could probably even add more around this if you maybe use some of these little embellishments. Okay, here's our gilded gold, or maybe if you popped up an acorn, you could probably add some more of this gold embellishment around your wreath. Okay, so the card is 6 by 6. That was what our original size was, and I went ahead and I cut it down a little bit. So there's this card. Now, I will tell you that, as you can see, I did add some gold. So I added a lot more than what the original stamping that I did last week on, and I think it came out well. 6 by 6 cards are available on Amazon. And you can get, like 100 for like $10. Lastly, here's this one, and again I added some gold stamping, and I went ahead and I cut out some of these pine cones out of one of the sets and added them, kind of popped them up on this as well. And I tried my hand at kind of doing some smudge daubing around the edge to make this card. Now, some people like the bow at the top, and some people like the bow at the bottom. I thought the one at the top kind of looked best for this one, and the one at the bottom for that one. So those were my my cards that I came up with after our project last week. Okay, so let's look at these two styles here. These are what we're going to do today. This is called the folded front card. Okay, and we basically just kind of create a fold, and when you lift the card up, that is the inside, and it's really nicely kind of creased. I went ahead and made the designer series paper, or just plain cardstock, but I kind of stamped a nice pattern there, and I had this leaf that I stamped and embossed with copper. And here is our little acorn on our copper ribbon. I thought that kind of gave a nice touch. I made several of these, and I want to show you the other ones I did. This one, because I wanted to show you that you could do this card using just designer series paper. So I have, and this is 5.5 by 8 and 8.5 cardstock, right? Folded at 4 1/4. And I just took a piece of the designer series paper, I folded that, and then I just glued it on the front of my card. You see that? And then I added and embellished it with a little cutout, fussy cut the little cat from some of the designer series paper and popped them up on some early espresso. And here's some of the extra paper I kind of used down here as a border. So there's a sample, and then this is a sample, and this is the card we're going to make tonight using the, what is it? It's the Magenta Madness. Isn't that beautiful? I'm going to stamp, and it's all very monochromatic. I'm going to stamp the front. We're going to fold it. I'm going to show you how to fold it. And then what's really pretty is if you notice that these, the bottoms of our cards act as kind of a frame for your folded front. And I think that's really pretty. Okay, and so we're going to do that one. And then the last one we're going to do is called a double pleated fold card. I saw this while I was kind of researching my other project, and I thought, this is I really liked the technique, and I thought, well, we're just going to do pleats tonight. And this is our magenta cardstock, and it is cut at, I got to make sure I have my tools. I got my tools here. So here it is. It's cut at 5.5, folded at 4 1/4, and then this is 8. I think this is this is 8.5 long. Okay, so that's what we want to start with now. We're going to make some pencil marks. So when you have this folded, and I'm going to bring a tool in here that I find really useful. This is a mini laser square. I'm going to make marks here. Let me grab my pencil. And this mark is going to be like 1/4 inch from the top, and then we're going to have 2 3/8, and then 2 and let me get my, oh, here it is. Let me turn it around here. It's going to be 1/4, 2 1/8, 2 3/8, and that's going to be on both sides, and they have to be level. That's why I'm using this square. And then on the bottom, we're going to have 2 1/2, 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 2 3/4, and then 3 and 3 1/4, and that's going to be along the bottom. So it's going to create the points that we're going to build our score lines where we build our folds. And you can see right here, let me just pull in so you can kind of see that it's kind of, I've marked it because your center mark is going to be A, and this is going to be, then you're working out B, B, C, C. So it's going to be point A to E, and then B to F, and then A to E, B to E, and then you're just going to kind of work down. And I'll show you where you kind of have to pivot off of A, pivots off of this point to your top, to the very, very top piece up here. And then your B goes from B to your 1 1/4, and then your B pivots, this corner pivots right into your F, and then you have your last crease C to G to kind of create that fold. It looks complicated. It's not that complicated. I just kind of wanted to lay that out for you so that as I'm scoring, you can follow it with me. And I'm just going to put my little yellow sticky here so I don't forget. But this is your pattern. So going back to my little square here, and it has a little laser, and I kind of use a ruler because my first one's going to be at 1/4. So I'm just going to move this to 1/4 right there. You can see it kind of draws the line all the way across, and I can just kind of very lightly just mark both edges. And then the next one's going to be at 2 1/8. So we're going to come all the way down here, the 1/8 being right there. And I'm going to just go ahead and I'm just lining up so I can just go ahead and mark. And then 2 3/8. So that's 1, 2, 3 right there. And I'm just going to kind of line that up right there. And then that is the side. That's all you have to do for the side are those three measurements. Now we're going to turn it this way. And our first one is going to be 2 1/4. So there's 2 1/4. And I'm just going to line up my ruler. I'm holding my paper against my edge right there. Hey, Jackie, how are you? Thanks for joining me. And then that's 2 1/4, 2 1/2, which is going to be right there. Just lining that up right there. 2 3/4. So it's like every quarter of an inch right there. You know what? You don't even need to do it at the top. You just have to do it at the bottom. 2 3/4, 3 right there. And then we're going to do 3 1/4 right there. Okay, so there are my measurements right there. So let's go ahead and put this aside. And now I'm going to grab my cutting board. Here's our centerpiece right here. I'm just going to put a little circle, okay? Right there, see that? So this is what I would say would be your A. If I were to lay this on top of it, that's your A, and then you've got your B, your C, B and C, and then over here are your F and G, okay? And then you've got this one up here. So we're first going to go from the A, and it goes to this crease where your paper folds. So we're going to go from here to here, and I'm going to line up this crease right here in my gutter. All right, and I'm just going to close that. Now I can look down my gutter and I can see that I have that lined up. And then I'm just going to take my scoring tool and I'm just going to run it down that gutter. Okay, so that is a nice score there. So then I'm going to go around to the other side. We're going to take this middle side and I'm going to run it to this crease right here. We're going to lay that down. Make sure that that is in the gutter there. Yeah, I guess gutter or the channel. You're cutting and you're just going to score it there. All right, so there are our folds. And let me see this one and this one here. Okay, now I did butcher it up a little bit. So now this one goes bent here, and we're going to go ahead and then we're going to fold the next fold, which is going to be right here. And then this one will go folded here. And then, see, and we're going to fold this one back and this one forward. Okay, you see how we did that? I'm going to do it again on this side. This one goes folded back, and now it's going to create your point. Then you fold the next one forward. Let's go ahead and, okay. Then you're going to fold this one back and then this one forward. And that creates your point. Let me just make sure I have these there. Then all I got to do is take an eraser, and you really don't see any lines. So there is the front of our card. All right, now I folded this. So now I'm going to unfold it. I'm going to erase this because for the purposes of this demonstration, I folded before I stamped. And that's because it's really hard to see your pattern and teach this when I have all the stamping on it. So now I'm going to go ahead and take a piece of paper here, and I am going to lay it down, and we're going to stamp. And the stamp I'm going to be using is going to be this one here, the Tasteful Textures. Let me just kind of move out. Okay, so I'm going to take the Tasteful Textures. Now I use the rose and I use the little textured stamp. So I'm going to use, maybe I'm going to use this, and maybe I'll use the texture stamp. See how this kind of comes together like that? See? And there it is. Let me just make sure this is kind of making sure my points. There you go. Look at that. So there is the front of our card. Now, we would put a piece of Whisper White right here, and then that is our card. Now you could, if you wanted to, you could kind of glue this. It's up to you. I think it's pretty just kind of loose like that because it kind of lends to that origami feel that it has. Now, one thing I did do to the bottom edge, and let me show you what I did, is I like to take my scoreboard right here, and I like to take my my paper, and I like to score just around the edge here and create kind of a nice box. I think it gives it a lot of added. See, do you see how it's you see how it's kind of indented there? So then when you put this here, it kind of gives it a little bit more pizzazz. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I've already stamped and cut, and this is our front piece. Now, pieces that I use here are here. These are the pieces that I'm going to use for my front, and I used from the same bundle are the framelits from the Tasteful labeled dies. And there's two nice pieces here that kind of nest together very nicely, and that's what I use to create. Oh no, wrong one. This one and this one nest together, and they're neat because this one doesn't have an edging and this one has the stitched edging, so they kind of offer a nice contrast. Okay, so I am going to grab some snail, and we are going to put this down. Okay, then I'm going to go grab these little pieces that I have, and these are embellishments that came with this bundle. And I really, really like these little leafy things. So I'm going to grab a couple of these. And I'm going to grab some all-purpose glue right here. Just going to put some all-purpose glue, and I'm going to put this one here. And then I'm going to grab this all-purpose glue. And I have a broken one here, and because this is on the flat edge, it's on the flat part, I want to, this one is good there, it's not going to break, but I'm going to take this broken one and I'm going to put it down at the bottom because I don't want to use a full one since I don't want, if you put a full one and it goes off this this fold, it's going to break in the envelope, and you can, and this does fold nicely to go in an envelope. You can if you want. You can glue these down, but I kind of like that origami effect that you have. Okay, so there's our first card, the front pleated card. There you go.